howdy. This here is Hot Prospects, where we discuss how to turn your lead generation into a burning inferno. I'm here again with Ryan Smith. What's happening, Ryan?
Hey, how are you? I'm super excited to be here, and I'm feeling hot like the fire today.
Oh boy, we're all hot. We're hot on it. In fact, I wanted to ask you about a topic called lotus of control. Lotus, not locust. You know, this is not petulance or pestilence that's coming to knock on your door. We're not getting biblical here. I'm talking about whether or not you allow the outside world to affect your attitude, your mood, the direction your day goes, or if it's an internal lotus of control where you decide how your life is going to play out, whether or not you have I've got a student who we discussed this the other day. She has a difficult time staying on task because every little thing bumps into her throughout her day and it changes and alters her mindset. And so, for example, she, with a passion, dislikes telemarketers. And so she has a home phone, it rings, and it's telemarketers she can see, and she gets very upset about it. And sometimes I've instructed her to pick up the phone and talk to them. You know, try to sell them some real estate, and maybe they'll take you off their list. But otherwise, she allows for these little things to bump into her, and it takes her day off course. Do you know anyone like this? Do you suffer from such?
I have had a big struggle with that in my own business, and I see it happen all the time with agents. And it's something that I find is a hard pill to swallow for agents to accept that, because it's just, especially if we've, depending on what our background is, what we did for past life or work, it's something that we kind of just becomes ingrained into us. And I've seen a lot of agents who just, they're quick to blame, they're quick to say it's this fault, because they don't want to take the personal responsibility of saying, this is my fault, or this is what happened, or this, I have an ability to change direction in this. And I think it's easy to point and say it's external fault. It's an external situation is why I'm not where I'm at. And it's a hard pill to swallow to say, yeah, I'm the one. I can't do anything about it. And yeah, I think that we can dive into this because there's a lot of, I think, reasons why and what causes it. And then I think we can dive into how to break free from that. So you tell me, because you see it a lot as well.
Yeah, I mean, I believe that the very basic thing that can really help is to have a schedule that you stick to that's routine. And so it doesn't have to be the exact same thing every single day, but maybe every Monday is the same and every Tuesday is the same. And I think that the body craves a routine, and it wants to go to sleep at the same time, and wants to wake up every day at the same time. It wants to eat at the same time. It wants to exercise at the same time. It wants to poop at the same time every single day. And so when you are able to make that appointment with yourself to do these necessary things in your life, and your body gets on that cycle, then I think your business is just an extension of that. So you prospect during these hours, and these are the type of prospects that you are calling on or are working with during these days. And then from there, you move your day forward based upon what happens with the prospecting, right? Do you have a better idea of where to start with that?
Yeah, I think for me, and I can share only what's worked for me in my own experience, is that I found I do need some variety, but being controlled variety. And if when I started in the business, I was on a team that did a lot of internet leads, and I'm thankful for that. If I was strictly on a team that was just doing cold calling 3 or 4 hours a day, nonstop, I couldn't have handled that. So for me, what I found work was creating kind of mini days of specific things. So I had like FISBO Fridays. That was my Friday thing. I would do follow-up on Monday and on Wednesday. And then I would do lead generation on Wednesdays and Thursdays. And I kind of broke it up so that I could still feel like I had some semblance of variety in my life, but still have some structure to it. And I think if you can figure out what those kind of buckets are of what you want to do, and like you said, then schedule it on specific days, then it becomes easier to stick with it. And again, in my experience, a lot of agents get in this business because they don't want a boss, and they don't want someone telling them what to do. And that is what ultimately is what puts us out of the business. And because we don't have a boss to tell us what to do. I go work at a place, I'm great.
You are your boss, and turns out that your boss sucks at his job.
That's exactly. And that's where the hard part is, because my dad always raised me, work really hard, do whatever you do, be the best that you can do until it's my own business. Then it's like, oh, it's harder to do that. If I'm working for someone else, I will work my butt off. I will sweep the floor 10 times as hard as I need to. But as soon as it's my own floor, it becomes harder. So you have to kind of treat yourself as two distinct people. Is you have the boss you, and I think then you have your employee you, and compartmentalizing yourself, which can be tricky, to think that way. But I think that's what's worked for me is to be able to do that.
You sound like you've been reading the handbook.
it's through experience in life, because you have to do that. And I think the sooner agents can figure that out, then the sooner they can start putting themselves into that role and figuring out what does that look like, and then shaping, like you said, your schedule around what do those roles look like? How much time do I need for that? How much energy do I need for that? Where does that look like, and where's it going to go? And if you're ADHD like me, my brain does a million things. I want to do a million things. Sometimes that like really just simplifying it is what we need, but it is hard. It's very hard.
Yeah, sometimes I want to say three things all at the same time.
Exactly.
What about others' influence upon the agent's day? If these agents say, "Oh, don't do that. That's not worth it," or "That's outside the boundaries," but as long as it's ethical and legal and it's something new you want to try, or if they say, "Oh, that never works. Oh, you should be doing it this way. You should walk this way, talk this way, look this way, behave this way. Say these things. Don't say those things." All these external things coming in, telling you what to do and what not to do. How do you handle and sort through all of that cacophony of this, so many people telling you what to do, and to strike out and find out what's right for you?
Yeah. The way I've viewed things over the years was creating kind of two separate distinct buckets or piles that you can kind of live in. And I would say, make sure you have a pile or a bucket of things that are proven that work, and doing those. And then kind of have your free creative time. If you look at like Google, I know Google has, when they have their employees, they give them like X amount of hours per week to work on something creative outside the box. Do the stuff that needs to get done. Make sure you separate that and say, create that structure around that. And then if you want to mess around and try things and dabble in something else, do that separately from your designated real time that is going to work. And you can try it. But if you're always living in that just try, then you may not get things that actually work, or you may not have the discipline or the structure to execute on those. And that was something I struggled with for years. Was I was always looking for the next bright, shiny object and the next sexy thing. And it's like, until I said, okay, I got to get down to my lead generation time. There's no question that gets done, and then I can mess around with it. And I think that was, for me, is what worked well.
Do your chores before you eat your porridge, right?
Yeah, exactly.
What about, just had a brain fart. I had to get, I know what it was. What about clients that are calling you during your prospecting time? Do you answer that phone?
That's a hard one. Should I answer my phone? No. And because it does take you off track. And I've seen, I think it comes with setting the precedence with a client up front. And I think that's the key to, is if you set the precedence that you can call me anytime, any place, anywhere, I'll answer, then, and if you don't hold your end of the bargain, then that's going to be bad. So I think when you meet with new clients, it's setting that, hey, I'll respond within X amount of hours. Don't worry if you don't hear from me for an hour or two, I'll get back to you. So I think it comes down to setting that tone up front. And for a lot of people, myself included, it can be hard to set that boundary and say, hey, this is how I work. But in order to serve you, and that's something I've always used, is like, listen, when I'm with you as a client and I'm showing you properties and I'm out doing whatever, you don't see me answering my phone. I'm not responding to emails. You have my undivided attention. So I hope you can respect that when I'm with a client, that I'm going to give them that same undivided attention. And then when I'm done, I'll give you a shout back. So
but Ryan, you don't understand. You see, I've got a closing in 12 days from now, and the co-op agent is calling me with an emergency because we might need to change the closing time from 1 to 3. I need to take this call during my prospecting.
And I'm sure you see the same thing, is that the way I view that is a lot of agents will default to that as their go-to, because it's a distraction from what they don't want to do. So they're open to it, even though they know they probably shouldn't be answering the phone. But I'm sure you agree that it's an easy way to go, okay, I'll answer that phone quickly because I don't want to keep doing this cold calling. I don't want to do this door knocking. I don't want to be at this open house or whatever.
Right. Yeah. So to take it from that external lotus and put it all on the inside, I believe for some people is a difficult switch. If they're used to it, they live their life their whole way with an external lotus of control, where they basically allow the outside world to dictate where they're moving and what they're going to do next with their day or with their life altogether, whether it's today or tomorrow, next week. They allow for other things to influence their plans and bump them off track. Going from that to this concept that you are ultimately the one in control, that there are scripts you can use to help everyone understand that this is the path I'm on and here's what I need to be doing right now. I kind of like this idea of you can call me anytime, day or night you want, but I might not answer the phone.
Exactly.
But you're allowed to call me. Don't feel like if it's midnight, I might answer the phone.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I might not. So I could be that I'm eating. It could be that I'm on the phone with somebody else. It could be that I'm in the bathroom. But I get to choose whether or not I answer. That is the difference between an external and an internal lotus. I think that a lot of agents struggle with that because they want that excuse that this other thing is coming, this other thing is coming. And the next thing you know, they're on that real estate roller coaster where they haven't prospected in 3 weeks.
Exactly.
And, when you ask them, when was the last time you prospected? And they're trying to remember some BS conversation that they had standing in line at Arby's, and they act like that was prospecting. And I say, great. Did you get their number? Yeah, you weren't prospecting.
Yeah. Yeah. And that comes down to, I think there's one of two categories. You're either avoiding what you're trying to do, or you're too afraid to set the boundary with a client as well. So I think for some people, I don't want to disappoint them, so I'll be available to them, or I'm okay with getting distracted. And if you can figure out which of those or both of those that's causing that, then you can easily say, okay, I'm going to set the boundary. I'm going to set the place or set my expectation up front, or I got to set a boundary with myself and not allow myself to get distracted by those things.
Yeah. And I mean, that can be challenging. Like you said, if prospecting is the worst thing in your life, which for a lot of people it is, I understand. Maybe try to use some perspective and see that this is what it takes in order to get this job done. Otherwise, you are ultimately in control of your destiny. Master of your domain, as Jerry Seinfeld said. If you found value in this conversation, I'm talking to you, the one listening right now, then please share this video with a friend or watch another video. Give us that old thumbs up. Come visit our website. Ryan, thanks a lot. We'll see you next time.